Hello and welcome to Better Business Podcast. My name is Alexei, and today we've got an interesting guest, Luis Garotti from 292 Co. How you going there, Luis?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. And yourself?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad here in sunny Brisbane. Well, mate, you've got quite an interesting business. I mean, I do so obviously come across branding and graphic design businesses, but you do not just that. Tell us about 292 Co, mate.
Yeah, so at 292 Co, we specialize in vehicle signage, wrapping, and paint protection film, and also commercial signage and event signage. Um, in saying that as well, if you do have other requirements within the print space, we can definitely help you out with that as well in regards to small format printing and say apparel and all the likes of those things.
Okay. Well, obviously, branding is quite a big strategy, and a lot of businesses obviously want to utilize their brand in many different ways. I mean, can you tell us how you help businesses when it comes to branding as a strategy, utilizing your services?
Of course. So say a customer comes in, they've got something of a brand happening, they've got a logo or whatever, they've got a basic brand established. If they come in and say they want some shop front signage, we can go and do that. And then within that inquiry, they may say, oh, do you guys also do apparel, branded tops? Yeah, definitely. Do you guys also do business cards? Yeah, we can help you out with the whole package. And just ensure that because you're dealing with the one supplier, we can ensure that your brand stays consistent across all mediums, which is very, very important.
Okay. So with branding, I mean, especially for small businesses, how important do you find it? Because I often find that, small business starts out, approaches a branding agency, they sell them something for an arm and a leg, $15,000, $20,000 package, and then they start doing something and then the brand doesn't specifically work out. I mean, what would you advise those smaller businesses? Is the brand as important when you're starting out, or is that something you do when you're sort of a little bit more established?
Branding should be established from the day you open the business, because you have to remember that that's the face of your company. Yes, you're the face of the company, but your logo and your brand look and feel is what people are gonna see straight away and also judge your business on. Now, if you have a poor brand, that is gonna create a sour taste in a lot of people's mouth. If you look at, say, a very modern cafe these days, they're sort of all popping up here and there. They have like a nice clean brand. It looks professional. Compared to, say, like an older cafe who hasn't updated their branding in a couple of years, and it looks a bit outdated. Which one are you going to go into? Based off just the look of that brand? You're going to go into the one that looks more professional, a little bit more modern, because even though you don't know what the coffee is going to taste like, you're already making judgment in your mind that coffee is going to taste better just because of the branding that they have on their shop front.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think something that's a little bit more appealing has obviously got the upper hand when it comes to appealing to customers. I'd agree with that. Okay. And with your business, how did you get into it, mate? I mean, is that something that you've been doing all along? Surely there's been a starting point. Tell us the story of how you got into the business.
Yeah, of course. So back quite a few years ago, when I was around 15, 16, I actually started doing websites and basic logo designs and stuff for family and friends who'd approach me. My family had a printing company that my grandfather started many, many moons ago. So I've always been around sort of the print industry and the design industry. My dad was an old school graphic artist. So I guess that's where I mainly picked that all up from, going to work with my father and learning off the graphic designers there and stuff like that. And, the entrepreneur in me started quite early, getting to work on, simple websites, logos and stuff, as I said. And when I was going through high school, I sort of just always knew what I wanted to do. I was into, I guess, like tech, computers and stuff, and always into art. So I was like, how can I mix those two together? So I did a graphic design diploma straight out of high school. And from there, I guess it was just destiny that I just fell into the print industry because of my family, and started off in the small format printing and worked to wide format and then signage and vehicle wrapping and stuff.
Okay, well, that's awesome. Quite a flow, and I quite like that. It sort of runs in your blood, I would say.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So let's talk about vehicle signage or wrapping, as it's called. I mean, I often see some cars obviously wrapped up really quite well. I mean, what's the effectiveness of something like that as a mobile marketing tool? Because I mean, I haven't really looked at it myself, but obviously it's got to be doing some marketing for the business. Otherwise, they wouldn't have done it, right?
Well, definitely, yeah. You've got to think of it as, a branded van or ute or even hatchback or whatever. It's a moving billboard. And that type of marketing, like, it's pretty much a one-off cost that's an ongoing marketing campaign for you. Wherever you drive that on the street, if you're driving 20, 25 kilometers away from the starting point to the finishing point, however many cars have seen your brand, that's potential to gain business. And if you don't get the return on investment on your marketing campaign as your vehicle, then you can just go off the fact of how professional it looks when you go on site. So especially for, I guess, like builders and tradies, people who rock up on site with branded cars, it just looks that little bit more professional to arrive on site with a professionally branded car, than to just, arrive with either a blank car or poorly designed signage on the car. You can definitely see the difference with how professional that appears for those types of businesses.
Yeah, well, it's almost like a value add, right? Like, I mean, I think if you have a great looking car with a nice wrapping around it, which obviously delivers the message in a smart way and really stands out, then yeah, it sort of positions you above everybody else. Now, vehicle wrapping is obviously not cheap, and it's one of those things that I found that you probably don't want it to be cheap, because if it's something that's going to wear out or become blurry or lose color after a year or so, it's probably going to look everything but what we just spoke about. So what's your sort of take on the whole investment side of things? Because yes, it's a very expensive exercise to do vehicle wrapping.
Of course. And depending on the type of vehicle wrapping that you're getting. So we do obviously the branding side, so the vehicle signage type of wrapping, but we also do the auto styling wrapping as well. So that's color change of luxury cars or pretty much any car, and also paint protection film, which is that clear wrap that protects the paint against stain chips and scratches. So on any level of any of those products, you don't want to cheap out, because when you're cheaping out, you are getting a lower grade product or an installer who doesn't maybe quite have the right experience to ensure that it doesn't fail, because there's a lot of things that can go wrong with vehicle wrapping, in terms of, like, over time it might start peeling, it will fail in certain areas. If you don't use the right product, as you said, it will fade, and it will fade a lot quicker. So it's very important to do your background on the company that you're using, number one, and ensure that they're using high quality products and that they have the right experience.
Hmm. Well, look, I think the whole idea of signage is obviously to grab more attention and to drive customers. At the same time, like we said, it's a value add in terms of positioning someone above their competition. Now, when it comes to clients coming to you, obviously someone may inquire about business cards or vehicle wrapping or something else. Is there a bit of a customer journey where people would do one thing and they'll come back to you for something else, because it's probably easier to work with you once they've got their digital assets with you or having you develop that? Do you find that there is a bit of a journey that happens with a customer once they inquire about one thing leading into something else?
Yeah, definitely. So we've obviously got customers who we've had from early on in our business who, they'll come in for either vehicle signage or, as you said, business cards or whatever. We'll do those. And then, a couple of months down the track, do you guys do this? Yeah, yeah, definitely. We can help you out with your commercial shop front signage or branded apparel or whatever. So because we can service the customer in so many different ways, we definitely have customers coming back for different products and services that we can offer, and even all at the same time, really. We've had customers come in, oh, I want a vehicle wrap, I want shop front signage, I want business cards. So yeah, definitely we have returning customers
Okay.
in all the different products.
Yeah, and I guess it's your product that actually speaks for itself. Do you get a lot of referrals based on someone saying, "Hey, great looking car. Where'd you get that done? Can I get their details?" Or is it more purposeful? Do you guys market through any specific media?
So I'd say 90% of the business from the start in until now is all referrals. And I believe, obviously, is the best way to get business, and that's what I have based my whole business on, is refer. So doing such a good job that someone recommends you is the absolute best way you can get business from any source. We do obviously a little bit of social media, but we only do the social media just as mainly like a portfolio of our work, where people can go on there, oh, they did this, this, and this. We don't really market too much on social media or pretty much anything else. It's all mainly based off referrals.
Okay. And look, I guess in the lifetime of a business, businesses do rebranding. I mean, what's your take on that and the importance of changing your brand as the time goes? Is there a bit of a, I don't know, moment that comes up, or is there like a time period or something that should trigger it, in your opinion?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously you have to be keeping up with the times. So, if you created your logo 15 years ago and it's not quite on trend anymore, then I would definitely consider rebranding. You need to be keeping up with what's up to date. Now, that's just obviously say you don't need to rebrand every 5 years, because you should, if you're paying a graphic designer to create a logo and a brand for you, it obviously needs to be current enough to last a certain time period where you're not having to rebrand every 2 years. Um, but in saying that, obviously, if it has been quite a number of years and your brand is starting to look a little bit outdated, I would consider a rebrand. Also, as a business owner, if you are feeling though that, because obviously over time your business changes, no business stays the same, or you hope the business doesn't stay the same over time. As the business changes, you may feel though that as though your branding doesn't quite represent the business anymore, and you may need a rebrand to display something that represents the business as it is now.
Okay. Well, that's an interesting point. I guess overall, yeah, businesses evolve a fair bit. Some businesses obviously stay the same, but it all reflects on the business owner and I guess their goals and what they're going through. But when it comes, I guess, to brands, I mean, what's your favorite brand? I mean, is there something that you admire or think, hey, this is really clever, and why is that?
Favorite brand. Yeah. Look, I mean, most corporate brands are very well designed, especially the sort of the larger ones. They spend quite big money on their brand. My personal favorite though, and which would be a lot of people's favorite, would be Apple. And that's because that simple logo has lasted such a long time period, and their branding is quite simple, it's effective, very bold, and I don't like. I think even if they didn't have their logo on there, and they just supplied the text, you would know what that brand is.
Hmm.
It's such a powerful brand that anywhere it's displayed, even if it's just that little Apple icon that's sitting on your monitor, you know straight away what that is. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
such a powerful brand.
Yeah. I was listening to one of Simon Sinek's interviews on branding, and he was talking about the whole Apple thing, how when people start using Apple, they align with it so much that even though you may not like Apple, they would take things personally because the brand would actually align with them and their values. And this is why you got this hot debates between, Windows users and Apple users, and then you've got, all your Tesla people and everybody else. And yeah, it's quite clever how the whole thing really sparks a conversation. Okay, so if somebody is just sort of starting out and they've got a fair idea about what they're doing and they want to obviously get their brand right, I mean, what sort of tips would you have for them?
So obviously, go to a graphic designer who is who you can trust, and their work, you like, because different graphic designers have different styles. So you need to go to a graphic designer that you like their style, the type of design that they do. That's number one. Number two would be just ensure that your brand is keeping consistent across all mediums. I can't stress that enough, that if have certain if you have certain shop front signage and then your business card looks completely different, or your vehicle signage doesn't match your shop front signage, it just doesn't look consistent. It doesn't work as a whole package. You need your brand to be displayed as a whole package with the user experience for your customers. So when they walk into your shop front, it's everything down to the little swing tag if you own a boutique store, or a thank you card or whatever. It all needs to be consistent across everything, and that includes social media. That includes everything, literally everything. And even down to the apparel, what you wear, even what your employees wear, it all needs to be consistent across with your brand. So if someone walks into a boutique store and you've got nice looking signage and nice looking swing tags and whatever, and then the employee serving the customer doesn't match how your brand is displayed. So say your brand is very minimalistic and modern, and they're sort of wearing I guess like more old school clothing, or clothing that doesn't match that brand, it's going to throw people off.
Hmm. So, in your opinion, and look, let's address this for our listeners: logo versus brand. Like, I mean, what's the downside of someone engaging? I don't know, someone on 99 Designs or Upwork versus contacting someone trustworthy and obviously more expensive who specializes in branding. What's your take on that? What would be the difference between the logo and the brand, and basically getting something cheap from something like 99 Designs versus obviously going the whole mile?
A logo is just your name made fancy, really. It's yes, it displays what your business is, and it should display uh how your brand is, how your business is perceived. But people confuse a logo design as the brand as a whole, but it's not. They're two different things. So you've got your logo, and then your brand is the look and feel. So the brand is everything. So the look and feel of your business as a whole, not just a logo, and how that makes people feel. Now, in terms of the actual brand, so that can be everything from the color palette to everything in your store. Obviously, signage, print medium, but that's even the brand of the business owner. The business owner needs to match the brand of the company. So it's a whole package, and that even goes then down to the employees. You need to ensure that your employees are matching the company brand, and the company brand comes along with core values, and what the business stands for as well. It's all part of your brand.
Okay. Well, yeah, it's all like McDonald's, right? You basically get a certain brand, a certain food, and a certain standard, obviously, all throughout the world, whichever place you go to, and you sort of know what to expect, and it's all the same. It's not like you suddenly go to, I don't know, another country and they've got a menu in a different font or something like that, or the color scheme is completely off. Yeah, okay. I also find that sometimes people think that they got a brand through like 99 designs, but oftentimes in my opinion, I think it's the why behind the whole idea that's actually missing. So people may have a pretty logo which they like at the time, but it doesn't reflect their values, or it doesn't reflect the sort of customers they serve, or it doesn't specifically align with anything else. And then from there, people are much more likely to change that down the track as well, because I find that someone who creates a logo for $200-300 is very likely to change something in the next year or so. And if they go and leave a lot of digital footprints, try to figure out exactly who they are, because there's a lot of similar names, and the whole thing just goes out of whack. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I like the analogy of the McDonald's, because if you really think about McDonald's, not only is the brand about the color palette and the brand, the design of the menu and all that sort of thing, it's down to the employees and how you interact with the employees, down to their processes of how they cook their food. That's part of their brand. The processes in their business, that is their brand. You're going to get the exact same French fries whether you go to Melbourne, Queensland, Denmark, Italy, whatever. You're going to get the exact same French fry and the exact same cheeseburger, and that is their brand. That's what you were going to expect from them.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think if you think about like BMW, any of those premium brands, they have got all their brochures using the same font, the same color scheme. And if you like wind back 10 years ago, you'll find something very similar as well. It's all very consistent. That's really, really cool. Now, there's obviously been a couple of very interesting rebrands, and it'd be interesting to hear your opinion about it. What do you reckon about all that Commonwealth Bank going to this can and this logo that they've gone towards? I mean, what's your take on that? Has that sort of reached the objective, or was that a bit of a waste of money?
What was that one? Sorry, the Commonwealth Bank?
The Commonwealth Bank logo. You know how they're going towards just that sort of diamond and having a can underneath it, whereas before they were the Commonwealth Bank.
Yeah, okay. I haven't taken too much notice. I'm just having a quick look now.
Yeah, I think maybe it's the age difference, mate. Maybe I remember that quite clearly. But yeah, I think NAB's done the same thing as well, because it was the National Australian Bank before that as well. But
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so what's your take on something like that? Yeah,
they also changed the color scheme of that diamond as well. So it used to be yellow and black, and now it's all yellow.
Yeah.
I now that I think of it, I know about that. Look, it is pretty effective. Like you're gonna know what that, because it's such a well-known brand. You're gonna know of it whether even if that diamond was red, because of that shape and what the Commonwealth Bank logo is. You'd probably know even if they change the color palette of it. That's the same with ANZ. That's the same with Westpac, because they're long-running brands that have been around for decades. They have credibility, and they won't go anywhere. So if your company and your brand has credibility that has been around for years or decades, even if you change something slightly about your brand, or you do a complete rebrand, yes, that will change your credibility, because people recognize your business with that certain brand. But if you have been around for a long time and you do have that credibility, even a rebrand may just actually give your customers a bit of a refresh into your business, and they can see that you're keeping up with the times as well.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, sometimes certain things happen, and I think the rebrand could be a way to sort of back up a change, or a business potentially changing in a certain way. So certainly, there's been a lot of rebranding around Woolies, for example, right? So it's Woolworths here in Queensland, and you guys have had Safeway in the past, and yeah, they decided to go with Woolworth in the end, so Queensland wins. But I guess it's all about consistency, right? And even though it's the same business, I mean, there's obviously had to be some sort of a story behind keeping it very different.
Yeah, and just on that rebrand as well, if for some reason you feel as though your business isn't in a great position in the market, and look, things happen, maybe you've had some stuff ups with some clients, and you're losing that credibility, a rebrand is a great way, I guess, as a little bit of a reset, to then gain some credibility with potential customers. Maybe that the brand that you had isn't getting a good taste in people's mouths. Maybe a rebrand might just give you that little bit of a reset to keep going in your business.
Right. Okay. Well, mate, yeah, we've covered obviously lots of different things, and if someone wanted to find out a little bit more about your business, how would they find you?
Yeah, so obviously on social media, we're on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at 292 Creative. And obviously our website 292creative.com.au.
Okay, I'll make sure to add the links to this profile. Now, I often add this to episodes where I've got guests. This section is something I call rapid fire. So this is where I ask you a fairly simple question, and I just want a fairly simple, direct answer. There's no really need to elaborate. So are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. So soccer or AFL?
Soccer.
Nice. I can feel a bit of Italian background there. So
yeah.
we obviously covered your favorite brand, Apple. What would be your second favorite?
Ferrari.
Okay. And in terms of personal development books, what's your favorite book?
Favorite book? I'd say The Power of One More by Ed Milet.
Nice. I have to definitely check it out. Mate, thanks very much for finding the time to jump on this podcast. I'm sure people would definitely learn a lot from speaking with you further. So, guys, I'll mention the contact details in my podcast media. So please make sure you check that out and reach out to Luis and find out more about what he can potentially do for your business. Thanks, mate.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Bye-bye.